Hello, 5th grade. This is Chapter 12, Lesson 11, page 967. The volume of composite figures. We've talked about composite figures in two-dimensional shapes, but now we're talking about volume of a composite figure that's made up of multiple shapes or multiple figures or multiple prisms. So it just means like this is going to get broken down into 3 pieces to find the volume. So a composite figure is made up of 2 or more 3-dimensional figures. To find the volume, separate the figure into figures with volumes you know how to find. So we've never found anything for just like something that looks like sort of like a pair of pants in Mega Blocks or something. But we're going to break it down into different 3-dimensional figures and put it all together for a final volume. So a composite figure is made up of multiple shapes put together. 3-dimensional figures. So here we go. And I can't read this, but the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, France is roughly the shape of the composite figure shown. Find the volume of the Arc de Triomphe. I have no idea. It's probably silent. Triomphe. No idea. I didn't take French. So here we go. There we go. Looks a lot like that. Separate the figure into 3 rectangular prisms and then find the volume of each. So if you can break this into 3 rectangular prisms, it'll help you. So they're saying this is 22. And so imagine that line going through here and separating it. And then you'd have this piece, and this piece. 3 pieces. Okay, one of the pieces is 17 by 24, because that's how much it is going back, so I guess they both are, and 32 height, going up to like this. All right, so the volume of this like leg and this leg look like they should be the same. They are. Okay, so 17 times 24 times 32. Once again, I could be teaching you, sorry, I'm shaking this long multiplication, but I'd rather just do it on the calculator and get to the point. So 17 times 24 equals 408 times 32 equals, wow, it's a big number, 13,056. Where do I write that? 13,056. And this other leg of this shape is also going to be 13,056. And these are yards, but we will label it at the end. Yards, cubic yards. Now we need to find the volume of this top shape, which is another rectangular prism. So I'm going to clear this, and I'm going to do 50 times 24 times 22, the length times the width times the height. 50 times 24 equals times 22 equals 26,400. Okay. Now, in order to figure out the final composite total, we need to add those numbers up. So I have this one on my screen still. I'm going to add the 2 legs onto that. Plus 13056. Let me see if I got there. Yep. Equals, and then I'll do it one more time. Plus 13056 equals 52,512. 52,512. So the total volume of this entire composite figure is 52,512 cubic yards, or 52,512 yards cubed. And once again, a yard is sort of like a meter. It's wide, about the width of your doorway. And if it were like cubes stacked on each other, I mean, these are big cubes. It's 1 yard this way, 1 yard this way, and 1 yard high. So that's that one. 52,512 yard cubes could be stacked in there, cubic yards. Let's try another one. Okay. Find the volume of the composite figure. Separate the figure into two prisms and then find the volume of each. So we've got this prism and this prism. Maybe you would draw a line here and separate it. And this would be one, and this would be the other, like two pieces of wood put together. So they're telling us this one is 22, or 2 2/2, sorry, 2 meters and 2/10 of a meter, because it's small. And remember, meters are the width of a doorway about. So the volume would be 2 2/10 times just 2/10 times 2. I'm just going to keep using the calculator so I don't have to think too hard. But you'd have to move your, well, if you don't get to use a calculator, maybe we better do this. You have to remember how to do decimals. 20, let's see. Let me write this out. 2 2/10 times 2/10 times 2. Let me make sure I got that. Yep. I didn't put a 0 in front of that, but there could be. Here we go. Let's just get through this. 22, or 2 2/10 times 2/10. You've got your decimals. Doesn't matter if it lines up, but in this case, they just happen to line up. Put a 0 there to fill in the space. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Your decimals. You've got 1, 2 places behind the decimals. So you start on the far end where normally decimals would be, and you hop over 1, 2, and the decimal goes there. So these two put together are 44 hundredths. Now we have to multiply it by just plain 2. I'm going to write it underneath there, even though it's a little messy, and I'm just going to put times 2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 4 is 8. The decimal is already here. It has 2 places behind it. There is not a decimal here, but it would normally be like here. There's nothing behind it, like nothing in the 10ths place, so you could just ignore that one. We've got 2 places behind the decimal, so I'll go zip from my end here, zip. The final answer is 88 hundredths. And make sure the book agrees with me. Yep. Okay, so in the book, for this one, the volume is 88 hundredths. I could put a 0 in front of it. All right. Now we need the volume of this shape, this prism. They're telling us this time the base is 4 and the height is 2/10. That's not so hard to do. Put a 0 in front of it, sorry. 4 times 2/10. I'm not going to put the 0. I just want to multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. But you need to remember, if there's one spot behind the decimal that you need to go one hop over, and it's 8/10. So this is 8/10 with a 0 in front of it for fun. Add these two together. 8 plus 8 is 16. Carry the 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. Bring down the decimals. 0. Ooh, I made a boo-boo. Oopsie. I was thinking about multiplying. Sorry, made a mistake. The decimal does line up when you're adding. So this would be like having a 0 in the hundredths place. 8 plus 0 is 8. Let's put it here. 8 plus 8 is 16. The 1 gets carried here, not there. 1 plus nothing is 1. The decimal goes straight down. So this was just sort of sloppy, sorry. So the final answer is, if you add all the volumes together of this prism and this prism, it is 1 68 cubic 68 hundredths cubic meters, or 1 68, which we have here, meters cubed. All right, 68 hundredths meters cubed. Okay, 1 68 hundredths meters cubed. Okay, I was getting a little sloppy. Let's try another one. I'm looking to see. We'll try a couple from, I'm going to skip the guided practice and go right to independent. let's try these. If I write in the book, hopefully you can see. All right. You can see these are composite figures, and they've got it pretty easy to see. There's one shape, one prism. Here's another one. Here. Length times width times height. Using a calculator, 8 times 6 equals 48, times 5 equals 240 meters to the third power cubed. And then you have this top shape, prism. I've got a length and a width, or maybe even a width and a height, but I'm missing a number. So I need to figure out, I know the short way, I know the tall way. I need to figure out what would the length of this one be. I need a third number. And it looks like that would match that, the 6. Can you see that that would be the same distance or the same width? This 6 and this 6 would probably match. So I'm going to tell you that this is equal to 6 meters going this way. So my numbers are 6 times 5 times 3. 6 times 5 times 3, because that's my length, my width, my height. Actually, they're not exactly in that order. I would call this maybe a length. Yeah, that works. This one I'd call a height just because it's going upward. That's what I would do. And just switch these two letters, but it doesn't really matter. You're going to get the same answer. So 6 times 5 is 30, and then 30 times the 3 equals 90. I have to put these two together. So it's 240 plus 90. 0 plus 0 is 0. 4 plus 9 is 13. 1 plus 2 is 3. The final answer is 330 meters cubed, or cubic meters. So once again, the volume is, there'd be 330 meter cubes stacked on top of each other to fill this space. And meters are wide, like the width of a doorway. So this is a bigger shape. In the book it looks tiny, but in real life, 6 meters tall is pretty tall. Anyway, let's continue. Here's one. I'm thinking if I want... That's kind of boring because we've done something like that on the next page. Let's do this one because this is interesting. And then I'll do one from down here because I like that they gave us a base. So let's do this one. All right. So the volume of this one is going to be, the volume is going to equal the length times the width times the height. I'm going to call my length 6, my width 4, my height 11. I'm going to multiply 4 times 11 is 44. That's pretty easy. Times 6 then. That takes a little more work, but I could do it. 44 times 6. I'm going to, I guess, do it on the whiteboard, or I could whip out the calculator. What is 44 times 6? 144. Okay, so this is 144 feet cubed. Now we need to do this shape that's sticking out of it. Sort of reminds me of a nose. It's going to be length times width times height equals the volume of this shape. 7 times the width would be 1.5 or 1.5, 1 5/10, times the height of 3. I don't know. My brain's tired, so let's just multiply on my calculator. 7 times 1 5/10 equals 10 5/10 times 3. 31 5/10. So this shape is equal to 31 5/10 feet cubed. And now we have to put them together. This was feet cubed plus this one. 144 plus 31 5/10. This doesn't have a decimal after it, so we'll fill it in with a 0. Here we go. 0 plus 5 is 5. 4, bring down my decimal. 4 plus 1 is 5. 4 plus 3 is 7. 1 plus nothing is 1. The volume is 175 5/10 feet cubed. So if your little cubes were the 1 foot on each side and high, it would take 175 of them to fill in this space and another half of one, including here. So that's interesting. Let's try one from down here. I suppose we'll do this one because that's a big number and it'll be kind of fun to see what we get. Clearing my calculator. So this is made up of 2 prisms. This one has, the volume is going to be equal to the base times the height. The base is 384 times the height, which is 5, equals, so this one is going to be equal to 1,920. I didn't even write it out, but it's this times 5. Okay, that's that. Now I need to do this figure. This one gives a length, a width, and a height, so we're just going to multiply those together. Length times the width times a height. 9 times 11, that's easy as 99, times 4 is 396 yards cubed. And this one is also yards cubed, but we need to add them together. This one's on my calculator already, so I'm just going to add this to it. Plus 1,920 equals 2,316 yards cubed. So if you could stack a bunch of blocks on top of each other that were 1 yard on each side, it would take 2,316 cubic yards, or just trying to think of the cubic yards to fill that space. That's a lot. Little cubes big cubes stacked on top of each other. Okay, I hope that helps you. That's the concept behind composite figures and finding their volume. If you can figure out one part of the shape and put it together with the other part of the shape, if they're like shapes you recognize and can work with, then you just put it together and you'll have the total volume, even though it's an irregular kind of shape. They are composite figures. Hope that helps you. See you in the next lesson.